Alan Carr has hilariously dressed up as Gemma Collins for Jonathan Ross' annual Halloween party. The TOWIE star caused some furore earlier this year when she wore an orange dress with massive shoulder pads. Alan Carr has dressed as Gemma Collins for Jonathan Ross' Halloween party. At the time, she was compared to everything from the Honey Monster to an NFL football player, so it's little surprise Alan decided to pay homage to her as well. As well as wearing a replica of the dress, the 41-year-old added a blonde wig and had his face made up with makeup and the other half like a zombie. TV host Jonathan always throws an epic bash with celebrities from TV and fashion attending every year. This year, Ed Sheeran was a guest, and dressed like a pimp in a long pink fur coat and fedora, with a cane and a thick gold chain around his neck. Alan pulled out all the stops as the TOWIE star Gemma wore the outfit a few months ago and set the internet alight. Ed Sheeran attended as a pimp. The singer wore a pink fur coat and fedora with a big gold chain. Bringing some ghoulish glamour to proceedings was supermodel Claudia Schiffer, who dressed like a space girl in a skin-tight pink and gold bodysuit with over-the-knee high-heeled boots. With her blonde hair tied up in a pink bow with two thick strands either side of her face, Claudia sported shiny space-age makeup and bright pink eyeshadow as she held hands with who onlookers could only assume was her husband, Matthew Vaughn. The Kingsman director was unrecognizable behind a white bandaged face, which was covered with fake blood and a pair of orange-tinted glasses. Also pulling out all the stops was Holly Willoughby, who remained in her amazing unicorn costume which she had debuted earlier in the day. On This Morning, Claudia Schiffer looked sensational as a space girl. The supermodel wore a skin-tight pink and gold suit with over-the-knee boots. Claudia was joined by husband Matthew Vaughn, who was unrecognizable in his costume. Matthew hid behind a bandaged and blood face with a pair of orange-framed glasses. Holly was joined by husband Dan Baldwin, who also made a big effort as he arrived dressed as the Tin Man from The Wizard of Oz. Another couple in attendance was Gemma Collins, who switched her dark locks for a blonde Georgian wig and billowing black ball gown. Holly Willoughby was still dressed as a unicorn. Holly had debuted the costume on This Morning earlier today. Holly changed her clothes to wear a more rock-chic look for the party. Holly was joined by her husband Dan Baldwin, who dressed as the Tin Man, adding some extra pizzazz. Joan wore a statement necklace and chandelier earrings and at one point covered her eyes with a black mask. The 84-year-old was accompanied by her husband Percy Gibson, who also went with a theme in a white wig and red military-style jacket. Joan Collins arrived in Georgian costume. Joan wore a white blonde wig and ball gown for the evening. Joan was joined by husband Percy Gibson, who dressed in matching Georgian attire. Stacey Solomon came as Julia Roberts in Pretty Woman. Also doing it for the girls was Stacey Solomon, who arrived dressed as Julia Roberts in hit chic flick Pretty Woman, while her friend came as a character from Avatar. Actress Natalie Dormer came as Captain Hook, while X Factor judge Nicole Scherzinger didn't disappoint either, arriving in a gold Egyptian costume which showcased her sensational figure. Natalie Dormer came as Captain Hook. Nicole Scherzinger pulled out all the stops in her costume. The X Factor judge put on a busty display as an Egyptian queen. Nicole's costume showed off her sensational figure. Meanwhile, some of TV's biggest male stars also went to great lengths to transform for the evening. David Walliams wore prosthetics so he would look like North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un, while celebrity juice star Lee Francis morphed his features and added fake teeth to look like a vampire version of Kiefer Sutherland's character in The Lost Boys. Jonathan shared a snap of his costume on Twitter. Jonathan and wife Jane posed together for social media pictures. As for the host himself, Jonathan shared a snap on Twitter of his costume alongside wife Jane Goldman. Jonathan looked like a sadistic surgeon while Jane looked vampish in a leopard print top while in the mouth of what looked like a Venus flytrap. David Walliams transformed into Kim Jong-un. The comedian wore prosthetics to become the North Korean dictator. Celebrity juice star Lee Francis also wore prosthetics on his face. He decided to come as a vampire version of Kiefer Sutherland's character in The Lost Boys. Charlie Brooker came as Super Mario, while wife Connie Huck dressed as the Twitter logo. Frank Skinner attended as a Star Wars character but brought a red Lilo instead of a lightsaber, while Charlie Brooker came as Super Mario. His wife Connie Huck came as the Twitter logo, while Melanie Sykes appeared to be dressed down, save for some blood near her nose and a bandage around her wrist. Melanie Sykes appeared to be dressed down. She had some blood around her nose and a bandage on her wrist. Frank Skinner came as a Star Wars character but with a lilo instead of a lightsaber. Michael McIntyre attended with his family as he wore a suit with a blood skeleton arm coming out of his shirt. Danny Baker also arrived with his brood in tow, wearing a red priest outfit, while David Webb dressed as a vampire as he arrived with wife Victoria Coren Mitchell, who opted to be a blood Alice in Wonderland. Michael McIntyre arrived with his family, as did Danny Baker. David Mitchell came as a vampire, while wife Victoria was a blood Alice in Wonderland. Also in attendance was magician Dynamo, who dressed as a prisoner in chains with a cutout of Louis Theroux beside him. Jimmy Carr also came along for the night, wearing a black suit with orange Halloween pumpkins all over it. Dynamo came as a prisoner in chains with a cutout of Louis Theroux. Jimmy Carr wore a snazzy Halloween suit. Meet Sophie Faldo, who's been crowned winner of the Great British Bake Off. Find out about Prue Leith's Bake Off gaffe and if shows have been spoiled before. Elvis Hart in shocking Our Girl season finale. TOWIE's Gemma Collins wears very daring see-through swimsuit in Tenerife. Gemma Collins says why can't plus-size girls wear mesh after that swimsuit got a story emailed theshowbiz@thesun.co.uk, or call us direct on 02077824220. We pay for videos too. Click here to upload yours.